What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next top 10, and today I will be doing my top 10 NBA teams most likely to win the 2016 NBA championship. So honestly, this could be a video that could be narrowed down to like a top 4. If any of you guys are NBA fans, you know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, I want to include my normal top 10 format. So go ahead and start at actually I got a 3 outside, so I'll go ahead and start with that. So the first team is the Memphis Grizzlies, and I like the Grizzlies. I like what they've been able to do. They're a hard-nosed team. They've been able to compete in the tough West. Scrappy team for about 4 or 5 years now. And like I said, I like what they've been able to build. Problem is, they're just not. They're not at that level with, you know, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Thunder. That they're a few players away. They play hard-nosed defense. Like I said, I really like what they've been able to build. Marc Gasol is one of the best centers in the league. Definitely very underrated, has been for a few years now. Mike Conley, same way at point guard. Tony Allen, one of the best defending shooting guards in the NBA. And like I said, I root for them every year in the playoffs, but I don't know how far they're going to be able to make it this year. They'll probably end up playing, or right now they have a 41-31 record, so they're probably going to end up playing someone like the Clippers or the Thunder, maybe the Trailblazers if things swap around a little bit. But it's hard to see them making it further than the second round. Anyway, my next team is the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics do have a legit chance of maybe even making it to like the conference finals, but the problem is when they run into a team that's got a decent big man down low, they're going to run into trouble. I mean, that's been the Celtics' knock for about 2-3 years now, is they need a big man down low that can handle his own. Olynyk's been coming along. He's been coming along well this year. I mentioned Sullinger. He's been decent this year also. But they're not going to be able to contend with, you know, trying to think of a few players here. They're not going to be able to contend with maybe Jonas Valanciunas, Hassan Whiteside, Miles Turner, and Al Jefferson. You know, especially in Andre Drummond. I don't think it can happen. If they do somehow make it all the way to the finals, you're talking about playing against a LaMarcus Aldridge, Tim Duncan, Draymond Green, Serge Ibaka, DeAndre Jordan. You're talking about some centers, power forwards that are incredibly good in the post, can draw out their defenders, got mid-range ability. Some of them got three-point ability. So, like I said, it's something that they got to be able to cover before next year. I think this is a good team building into the future, and they do have one of the better backcourts, especially in the Eastern Conference. But this is a team that I think will probably be second round and out if I could, I guess, put a prediction on it. So my next team is the Indiana Pacers. Now, I think the Pacers have the talent, have the ability to hang with any team in the East. They've got the big man. They definitely got the wing play with Paul George if he can be consistent. They've got a good point guard in George Hill. They've got a good shooting guard in Monta Ellis. They've got the depth, and Jan Mahimi has been great this year, but the consistency just hasn't been there. And I think, like I said, it's a good foundation for the future, and they definitely have the potential to be an Eastern Conference Finals team. But again, I think this is a team. Right now, it looks like right now as it is, they're 38-33. Looks like they're going to end up playing the Raptors, which honestly, the Raptors aren't a very good playoff team. Struggling to make it out of the first round, and it looks like the Pacers would be a team that might be second round and out, maybe first round and out. So moving to the top 10, number 10, I got the Dallas Mavericks. So I think that Dirk Nowitzki's playing very spirited for his last season in the NBA. Right now, they are 35-36, and they are in the seventh, or they have the 7th seed right now. The problem with the Mavericks is Chandler Parsons just out for the year. I don't know if the depth's there to be able to make an entire playoff run. I think they're good enough to hang with a lot of the teams at the top end of the Western Conference, and they got the style of play to do it. But like I said, the depth and the overall talent, I don't know if it's there anymore. So at number 9, I got the Houston Rockets, and this is really just banking on the fact that they put it all together right before the season ends. And people have been waiting for that all year, for Dwight Howard, James Harden to be able to put it all together and play together well. And it's been there in spurts. James Harden's honestly had a pretty good year, but Howard's seen another regression statistically. The spurt, like I said, there's sparks there at times, but overall the Rockets, and they're going to need a huge push. Something's going to have to click within the next couple of weeks. maybe in the next couple days for some miraculous turn of events to start showing through. So at number 8, I've got the Atlanta Hawks, and I like what the Atlanta Hawks have built. They've definitely got a team together that a few years ago you wouldn't expect to contend in the East. Al Horford down low, Paul Millsap down low are both tremendous. Al Horford will honestly probably be gone after this season. He's one of the best underrated front courts in the NBA. Jeff Teague is obviously a tremendous point guard, and maybe not quite living up to expectations this year, but overall I think this is a Hawks team that will probably make it out of the first round. Again, probably a second round and out team. I don't know how much NBA championship potential they had. People were talking about them last year. They were the surprise team in the East, while Golden State was the surprise team in the West. But Atlanta wasn't really able to hold their own in the playoffs last year either. So at number 7, I got the Toronto Raptors, and it's kind of hard to not mention the Toronto Raptors. They've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now. Like I said, the one reason not to trust them is because of just their playoff history. They are historically, well, not overall historically, but last couple of years, a team that can't make it out of the first round. And, they got, like I said, they got the talent to do it. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, again, form one of the most underrated backcourts in the NBA. And, again, they've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now, sitting at a 48-22 record, one of only 2 teams in the East to lock up a playoff spot. They have the second spot right now, and it looks like that's probably the spot they're going to end up holding down. Problem with the second spot is there's a lot of teams that are fighting hard right now that will be tough outs at the 7th or 8th seed in the East. You're talking about either playing probably Indiana, Detroit, Chicago, or Washington, none of which are going to be easy outs right now. You look at any one of the matchups there, and Washington, they get hot. That's a team you don't want to play in the playoffs. I don't like the matchup in transition between John Wall and Kyle Lowry. Toronto's not a very transition-heavy game. They're more of a spacing, find the open shot and take it, especially with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. And Washington's definitely more of a transition team. You go to Chicago, if Jimmy Butler starts heating up, I don't like the matchup defensively between him and DeMar DeRozan. And the Pistons, Pistons honestly would probably be the best matchup for the Raptors, but anyway, not trying to go through all the individual matchups here. What I'm trying to get at is I think the Raptors do have maybe the second or third best chance in the East, but overall the East is a little bit at a disadvantage, obviously, when you're talking about playing against teams like the Spurs and Warriors. So at number 6, I've got the LA Clippers, and if the Clippers could be clutch, if they could play up to the competition when they play the top teams, then they might be higher on this list, but they just can't beat a top 5 team in the NBA. It's been happening over and over again. They beat up on some of the worst teams, maybe some of the middle-of-the-pack teams. They look like they're ready to contend again, and then they just get beat down by the Spurs, Warriors, someone like that, maybe the Thunder. And honestly, the Thunder have really been the only top 5 team that can really compete with. But like I said, they got the talent to do it. It's there. One of the best point guards in the NBA, one of the best centers in the NBA. JJ Redick's found himself a nice fit at shooting guard. Blake Griffin probably won't be there after this season, but for the time being, they do have a really good power forward in place. Like I said, I just think that the Clippers need to be able to play up to their competition. If they can find that spirited fight, then yeah, I got a lot of belief in them. But as of right now, as soon as they run into a team like the Warriors or Spurs, they're probably done. So at number 4, I've got number 5, got the Miami Heat. So if there's one team that I think that might be like my sleeper team, a team that's been creeping up a lot of people's mind, definitely the Heat. I like what they've got in place. They've got championship experience between Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. And Wade's honestly had a tremendous season, looking like a little bit like the Dwayne Wade of old. Hassan Whiteside's been tremendous. Goran Dragic is a really good piece at point guard. I like what they got in place with Justice Winslow. And like I said, I think it's a good situation in Miami right now. This is a team that does have championship potential if they can put it all together. Luol Deng's had a pretty good year as well. And like I said, if they can put it all together like they have of recent and keep it going through the playoffs, I think this is a team that can contend with Cleveland in the East, and right now is probably in second best position to win the East. So at number 4, I've got the Oklahoma City Thunder, and again, I like what the Thunder have in place. Obviously, KD and Westbrook. I think the Thunder are the only team that could say they have two of the top 5 players in the NBA with KD and Westbrook. If they put together a good, consistent clutch is one of the biggest things. 7-game series, they can compete with the Warriors and Spurs. I mean, they've been competing all season. They got the talent to do it. But, again, clutchness has been a problem. Inefficiency has been a problem at times. And the chemistries look good overall, but down low, especially when you got Enes Kanter in the game, the big men can be a little bit of a mismatch. I know that Draymond Green has normally had a field day when he's played against the Thunder, and so is LaMarcus Aldridge. And again, that's something that's probably got to get fixed. Serge Ibaka is a good defensive player down low. That's Steven Adams when he's not fouling, same way. But again, some of the matchups down low might not be the most desirable for the Thunder. The bench can be inconsistent, but overall, I think this is a team that has championship potential. They've been to the finals in the last 5 years, and I think they can do it again. So at number 3, I got the Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously the odds-on favorite to win the East, and really the only team in the East that people think can contend with the Warriors, I guess, or the Spurs. And I don't know how much fight the Cavaliers got left with their current lineup. If anything's consolation for LeBron from last year, he had to face a 7-game series against Golden State pretty much by himself. I mean, obviously, guys like Dellavedova helped him out. Mozgov played all right. I don't know why I said Vucevic. But he will have Love. He will have Kyrie ready to go this year. And Love's had a decent season. Kyrie's been up and down, coming back about halfway through the season from injury. And obviously, right now the Warriors are the heavy favorites, but I think the Cavs are really the best shot of beating the Warriors out of the East. So at number 2, I got the San Antonio Spurs. And obviously at number 1, I got the Warriors. I want to talk about these two teams both at the same time. So both these teams are still undefeated at home this year. It's crazy to think. This might be the most top-heavy league I've ever seen. And really, these teams are head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Like I said, the Cavaliers, the Thunder, they do compete. The Clippers, Heat, teams like that do at times. But overall, it's the Spurs and Warriors league for the taking. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm pretty sure they're going to end up running into a 7-game series, probably in the conference finals. And see what happens there. Should be incredibly entertaining when it happens. But, again, the matchups are clean. These are obviously, like I said, the two clear-cut best teams in the NBA. Right now, the Spurs sitting at 60-11, and then the Warriors sitting at 64-7. Both teams still undefeated at home. Spurs 36-0, Warriors 33-0. Both teams that beat each other, obviously, on their own courts. The Spurs doing it, I believe, 87-79. I think it was last weekend, last Saturday. I remember watching the game. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, only one team can come out of the West, and we'll most likely be facing the Cavs in the NBA Finals. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I do want to wrap it up by saying one thing. I do like basketball. I like the NBA, but this is one of the reasons why the MLB, NBA, or MLB, NFL, and NHL playoffs are better than the NBA. The playoffs are cool, but when there's only 1 or 2 series at a time worth watching, that kind of really devalues the playoffs. It takes away just from the pure excitement of having playoffs. I mean, you talk about the NHL playoffs. Anything can happen in any series. I mean, obviously, when it's a 1 versus 8 in the first round, it might be pretty bad. But even the 1 versus 8s, I mean, I've seen 8 seeds make it to the Stanley Cup Finals before. It's happened twice in the last 10 years, I think. You look at the MLB, you never know. I mean, it's hardly ever easy to predict the World Series, especially not last year. You talk about the NFL. Yeah, there are favorites, but I mean, there's teams that have been wild cards that have won the Super Bowl the last couple of years. So that's just on a separate topic. It's not really a rant. It's, I guess, a small one. But yeah, like I said, I like watching the NBA. I like the fundamental preciseness. I like basketball, so I like watching it. But I guess that's the part where the college game is a little bit better than the pro game. So yeah, that pretty much concludes this video, and I hope the rest of the NBA season is drastically entertaining. I hope there's a little bit of shake-up, make it a little bit more exciting, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm going to be doing my top 10 college football quarterbacks heading into 2016. So while I'm in the middle of my ranking series right now, I've already done my college football. Instead of doing like a ranking series for college football, because that'd be kind of hard to do with obviously the transition process of recruiting and then graduation, NFL draft, all that stuff, I actually did a